The M250 light machine gun can absolutely dominate at range. It's always going to be a 4-shot kill. Whether it's point blank or super long range, you're always going to have the same time to kill, which is pretty crazy. Up close, it's going to struggle a little bit, especially against faster killing weapons for close quarters, but at medium to long range, it can melt people very, very quickly. I was actually caught off guard a few times with how quickly it can kill at long range if you can full auto spray. So really the only downsides is that it's a light machine gun, 50 round starting magazine, 100 round costs a little bit too much, and then the reload is quite slow, 5.75 seconds. So you don't have a whole lot of ammunition to work with, and every time you have to reload, you're pretty much stuck. Have to be in a safe spot for quite some time. 5.75 seconds for a 50 round mag is very, very slow. It's almost as slow as the 100 round mags on some of the other LMGs, but the power it has at super long range, it makes sense that they balanced it that way. So 675 rounds per minute, 4-shot kill at any range. So it's going to be a 267 millisecond time to kill at every range. Close range, it's going to struggle, but medium to long range, it's going to be either very close to the best or the absolute best at super long range as far as pure time to kill goes. So we have the build that I'm liking here again. Light suppressor, fully hides in-world spotting, reduces the range you're spotted on the minimap. So if you fire your weapon either unsuppressed or without a flash hider, the diamonds appear above your head for all the enemies to see, giving away your position. But flash hider and suppressor gets rid of that, and then suppressors keep you off the minimap outside of 15 meters. Inside of 15 meters, nothing you can do about it, but if you're flanking, trying to be a little bit more stealthy and sneaky, you can stay off the minimap with suppressors outside of 15 meters. We got the heavy extended barrel, improves firing accuracy over extended periods, increases bullet velocity to 950 versus 760 to start. So this is definitely going to help at the longer ranges, especially against moving targets. Able to hit your shots more reliably at longer range with that added bullet velocity. Slim angle grip slightly reduces recoil, increases weapon draw speed, enables faster ADS. So it would be 433 without that, very slow, but 367 is a little bit better. And then with the support bonus, another 67 milliseconds down, so it'd be 290 to 300 with the support. So you definitely want to run support if you're running LMGs for faster ADS and no movement speed penalty. It's got the standard 50 round because 100 round costs way too much. Standard ammunition, red laser for slightly better hipfire. Because without this, hipfire is terrible, but still going to be pretty bad. But within like 5 meters, you can reliably hipfire. But without the laser, it's going to be even worse than that. So super close quarters helps out a little bit. And then whichever sight you prefer. I like the Miniflex 1.0, but this is going to be personal preference depending on the ranges you want to play. If you want to stretch the ranges a little bit more, you can always go with a magnified, but 1.0 is good, all purpose. So again, really terrible hipfire, but able to full auto at 70 and 50 meters is pretty nuts. So if you can get that full auto and hit all your shots, the time to kill is outrageous at those ranges, 267 milliseconds, crazy. So we have all the stats here again. M250, standard stats for LMG, very slow handling, but with a support class, you can get that down basically 67 milliseconds every time. So if it's 433, it's going to be 367. 367 is going to be 300, so on and so forth. Slow reload, 5.75 seconds for a 50 round mag, very slow, almost as slow as the 100 round mags on some of the other ones. So that's going to be the main drawback because trying to get the 100 round mag costs way too many points. So going to have to basically go for the 50 if you want a decently balanced build, but 4-shot kill at every range, 25 damage. 3-shot headshot potential at every range. You need all 3 headshots with standard and then only 2 headshots mixed with 1 body shot for the hollow points. So very good time to kill potential if you can hit all your shots. So yeah, you only need 2 headshots mixed with 1 body shot, whereas 3 headshots for standard ammunition. But at super long range, probably not going to be able to hit all headshots. There is a bit of recoil, but if you can hit your shots, it can kill very, very quickly. And time to kill within the LMGs. So it has decent DPS. The highest DPS is going to be the M123K to the body 346. So 65 lower there, but not too bad. Decent time to kill up close, competitive, not going to be the fastest, so 67 milliseconds slower than the M240, which is the fastest there. But then 20 meters plus is going to be the fastest at every range, especially super long range. You look at the graph here. M250 is this light blue, so you can see it's not the greatest close range, being beat out by pretty much all the other LMGs except two. But then in that medium range, it starts to overtake, and then long range, nothing else comes close. So very consistent gun. Not great up close, but very consistent. Always going to have the same time to kill. Always the same shots to kill. Then if you look at time to kill compared by all, so again, not the greatest up close. There's going to be faster killing guns, SCW-10, KB-9, TR-7, that kind of stuff. But still not too bad. 117 milliseconds slower than the fastest, 100 milliseconds slower than some of the other faster ones. But struggles a little bit up close, being an LMG with slower handling. Going to lose to the faster handling weapons like SMGs, carbines. But not terrible time to kill, just not the greatest. And then from 10 to 20 meters, it's competitive within 100 milliseconds. So fastest is going to be the TR-7 there, 100 milliseconds slower. But then at that medium range, 20 meters plus, that's when it starts to really start to shine. So 17 milliseconds slower than the fastest there, which is the TR-7 and the M277. But the M250 has better recoil, so especially at the longer ranges within that range, 20 to 75, it's going to be the better option there. Even though it's 17 milliseconds slower, you're going to be able to hit your shots more consistently. And then at super long range, 75 meters plus, it's going to be the best. Nothing else is even close. The closest is going to be 66 milliseconds slower. But when you look at time to kill with aim down sights in the equation, obviously LMGs are going to fall off harder due to the slower handling. But if you can get the handling down faster with the support class and then some of the attachments, it's not going to be that big of a difference. But you still don't want to rush into head-to-head fights with SMGs and carbines, faster handling weapons, because you're going to lose in close quarters. But if you're shooting at the same time, you should be all right. But if you start aiming at the same time, you're going to lose to the faster handling weapons. Then if we look at time to kill in Gauntlet, 1 plate, 40 armor, no damage reduction. Same story. It's not the greatest up close. There's going to be faster killing weapons. KB-9, 278 compared to 444. That's almost 200 milliseconds slower there. But then 10 meters plus, going to be better. Oh no, I was looking at the wrong one. Still not the greatest within 20 meters. So 111 milliseconds slower. But then 20 meters plus, that's where it's going to start taking off. So 417 is going to be the fastest, so 27 milliseconds slower than the fastest there. But again, M277 and TR7 have a bit more recoil, whereas M250 is going to be more manageable. So especially at the longer ranges, it's going to do better. And then super long range, 444, very fast. Closest to that is going to be 56 milliseconds slower. But a lot of the other weapons can't even come close to that. And then we look at BR with 1 plate, 40 armor with damage reduction, so basically 50 extra health. Same thing, struggles in that 10 to 20 or 0 to 20 meter range, but then long range again, very good time to kill. Super long range, very, very good time to kill. So no changes there. Then BR with 2 plates, 80 armor with damage reduction, basically 100 extra health. So still not the greatest up close. That's 131 milliseconds slower than the fastest, which is the SCW-10, but then it starts getting a little bit better. 10 meters plus, so within 100 milliseconds there, the fastest, the KB-9, or I mean, the TR-7 within it. Oh, I was looking at the wrong one again. So we're 622. So not good at up close. That's what? Almost 250 milliseconds? Yeah, almost 250 milliseconds slower there. 205 milliseconds slower there. But then long range, 20 meters plus, it's going to pick up again. So 583 to 622. 39 milliseconds slower there, but then super long range, nothing even comes close. So the fastest are going to be within 150 milliseconds, so 128 milliseconds slower. That's going to be the second best. Everything else falls off pretty bad because the time to kill at super long range for the M250 is pretty ridiculous. Nothing can compete as long as you're able to hit all your shots. So again, very good gun, especially at medium to long range, very consistent. Has the fastest time to kill potential. Easy enough to control recoil, so you're able to full auto at 50 and 70 meters, no problem. So very, very strong gun. Maybe even the best option for long range, especially. But again, it's not going to be the greatest at super close range, but it's still going to be competitive there. Just Going to be beat out by some of the faster killing guns up close. And then that 50 round mag with the slow reload. Those are going to be the main drawbacks, but if you're using it at medium to long range, there's not going to be a better option, especially within the LMG class. Nothing can really beat that. 267 millisecond time to kill at long range. Like I said, it caught me off guard a few times how quickly it killed at that long range when you're able to hit all your shots. So when you hit all your shots, they drop very, very fast. But yeah, that's it for this one. Let me know down in the comments if you're using the M250, what attachments you're running and finding success with, if you're liking it. But thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.